Our first objective is to distinguish empirical social work research from non-empirical research. There's a few parts of this objective that are worth breaking down. First of all, we have empirical research. What is it? And then what is empirical social work research? And I'm going to try to unpackage that by focusing on the non-empirical research component of this objective. It's very common for students to be assigned a topic they have to research for a given class, or sometimes people may encounter a medical problem in their life and they do a lot of research on the topic. And this involves looking up a lot of information on the internet, relying on various sources, magazines and books, talking with other professionals and taking all this information. And that is a type of research. And we can loosely call that a conceptual type of research, but that's really different than empirical social work research, which is the focus of this particular MOOC. So the empirical research is something that we want to make sure that we have an understanding that there's specific methods that make it different than the conceptual types of research that we use in a more public or colloquial sense. So let's talk about a few of the characteristics that define empirical research and make it different than the conceptual research that is part of the colloquial sense that I've just talked about. The first is that empirical research relies on the scientific method. The scientific method is built on very specific and well-defined methods for collecting and analyzing data. And we use the data to inform as the basis for evidence and our knowledge about certain phenomenon in the social world. The scientific method uses various and well-defined methods for collecting data. Thus, the data become the basis for evidence and our knowledge. And we use that as the information as a way of informing ourselves. And this method allows us to help us separate what we believe to be true and the biases that we hold and give us a more objective view of the world. The empirical research is also subjected to a peer review process. And this is something that we're going to cover much more in depth in this module. The idea is that our scientific process is open, that it's subjected to, or we allow for other people to critically see what we have done, how we have collected our data and arrived at our opinions that are informing our judgments. Well, that leads to the next question is, what is empirical social work research? Well, social work research is really based on many different scientific disciplines, primarily in the applied social sciences. And social sciences are made up of anthropology, psychology, sociology, political science, and economics. And these are fields that inform the basis of social work research. Social work research is an applied area of the social sciences. So we focus on social problems or problems that are influenced by social factors. Social work research also has a strong emphasis on issues of social justice. So distributions and inequalities as it relates to opportunities in our lives, wealth, issues of homelessness, oppression, discrimination. So we focus on issues of social justice, and that's another component that makes social work research different than the other social sciences. And I also mentioned that social work research is an applied social science. So this means we're really actively working on solving problems, and our goal is informing the delivery of professional services or social policy. We've got many different topic areas within social work research. It's not narrowly defined by just a few. For example, we can study child abuse and neglect, family violence, health disparities, homelessness, economic inequality and poverty, social isolation, substance abuse, and mental health. So are just a few of the many example topic areas that make up social work research. And within each of these topic areas, we can bring many different types of methods and ways of examining the issues. We can quantify the extent of the problem. We can look at interventions to help solve the problem and figure out what works and for whom the for whom the interventions work. We can also use methods to get a better understanding of the experiences of the people who are experiencing these problems. This could be the basis of informing our theories that will necessary for helping solve the problems as well.